Hi everyone, and welcome to the first of the Scrap-tacular series. Basically, what these mini tutorials are going to be about is how you can reuse your scrap wire. I tend to sort out my wires in bins. So this is my Argentium silver. I have copper. I have a separate jar for copper, but once I make some findings, I'll put them in this ready-to-use findings. I have ready-to-use pair-wire findings, and so on. I'll sometimes sort them by color, or if it's two colors that are distinctly different, like maybe it's a antique antique copper and a silver, I may put them together for pair-wire so that I can see the difference. This is my pair-wire silver scraps. So today we're going to be dealing with 3 different links. I'm going to be showing you how to make this horseshoe shape link, to make a chain or an extender. It's really nice and smooth, and it sits really well. This is a variation of the same thing, but I've used square twisted wires to make this length. So that's another one. The second one is basically making a chain or an extender using infinity links. I haven't tightened these up completely because I'm kind of picking and choosing and removing pieces out of it as I go. But this is the second one that we'll be doing today. And the third one we'll be doing is this pretty little link. Now this one I actually almost entirely made out of scrap. It was a nice bracelet length. And at our previous class, I gave away some of these links as extenders for some bracelets. So they're really pretty. They can be made into earrings, into a nice necklace, a bracelet. So these 3 links is what we'll be doing in today's session. I will have more of these sessions to show you all kinds of different things, but for today, this is it. And this is just an example of how I've put together some of the others to make kind of like earrings. I'll probably be adding some beads and stuff to it. So there's 2 of these going. I just happened to make them while I was sitting the other day and had pretty much nothing to do. This section is another kind of a link that I'll try and show you today if possible, if not in the next session. Okay, so let's get started. I have sorted out some of my wires roughly by size. Now we're going to start with the horseshoe one. And let me just grab, these are, hang on. So if you have a length that's maybe just a little bit off, you can cut them. I don't normally sort them by gauge. Since I only always use 18 and 20 gauge for certain wires, I know what gauge they're going to be. But you can kind of feel it and say, but then I sometimes do have 22 gauge as well. You can get one of those gauge cards from Home Depot, and that'll, like, you can pretty much slide it through it. I think you'll get it in the drill section. You can slide it through and that'll tell you what the gauge is. That's not expensive at all, and it's kind of a nice tool to have. So this, I know by feeling, these 2 are 20 gauge. They're 20 gauge. And I'm going to cut them to rough. Since I'm doing them as this project, I'll cut them down to roughly the same size. You can measure them, or you can just make them as you go. And when you have similar sizes, you can use them to make your necklace. Like with this one, I didn't have anything in mind as I went. I just kept making them, and when I found similar lengths, like similar sizes of the links, I put them together to make the chain. This one actually may have a few that are just a tiny bit different than the others. But if you're working on a whole lot of them at the same time, it makes sense to cut them down to about the same size, and that'll help you. So flush side here. So we have 2 at the same length, maybe a wee bit of a snip over here. Okay. All right, then we take our round nose pliers, and what we are doing here is making a horseshoe shape or a U-shaped link, and you can adjust it. It is a good idea with this one if you want to use your 6-way looping pliers. When you're doing these kind of links and you want them all to be the same size, it's actually a very good idea. I just don't know where I put it after my last class, so I'm just going to show you this as we go. Now I have this roughly at about, so I'm going to just, you could mark your pliers if you don't have bail making pliers. So you're going to loop it this way, come around to this side at about the same section of your pliers, just loop it so you have something like this. Okay, and then you do the same thing to the other one. Come in roughly at the center, and you can adjust this so the ends are the same length. Now with the looping pliers, you could actually do them both together. But since I don't want to get up and go and look for them right now, I am just going to do these like that, and the other one too, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to push them together. Take your flat nose pliers and kind of, not completely, but straighten them out so you have something like this now. All right, and do that to the other link as well. Now what you need to do is open these up slightly, and to open again sideways and open them both out to the same side. And these loops are down, so the loops on this one will be down as well. And you just slide that in like so. And then we're going to close those links again. So go in here, and oops, it would help if you get the link in there. Hang on. This is really difficult to do with the camera as your eye. Still getting the hang of this. Thank you so much, everybody, for your supportive comments. And close that in just like that. Make sure they're closed and squished together. Just straighten those out. And there you have it. That's basically how your link would be. Okay? And then you would just keep adding it until you have something like these. This is the back. You can see that. And then that's the front. And then the twisted version of it. I had some infinity links that I added because I wanted to see what that would look like. Now this can also work really well as earrings. So if you wanted, like, you could have 2 or 3 of these and then just put in an ear wire through the top. You could either leave them if you wanted just some metal earrings, or you could put beads in there. I'll show you how to do one of those a little bit later. Just get through this section first. Okay, so we have this link done, your little horseshoe link done out of scraps. Okay, so these can go on the side now. The second one we're going to do is infinity links, and we've covered these in our wire bending classes, but I'm just going to go over it again. So for your infinity links, you need your round nose pliers. And this one I'm going to use perhaps one of the cut ones. I may have put the shorter ones in. All right, let's do this in the antique bronze. All right, so for this, just to give it that nice twisted effect, we're going to put our pin vise on there, nice and tight. Take your flat nose or chain nose pliers at the very tip and just twist them. Okay, I don't have this tight enough. Just twist these. And then you go in, because I don't know what length of chain it's going to be on or how it's going to link up. I'm going to go about halfway here. If you're using your looping pliers, you can go big or small depending on how big you needed that to be. Again, I don't always make these at the same time. I'll have scraps lying around, and when I'm watching TV or doing something, I will go in and just work on my scraps and stuff and just have a whole bunch of them ready. And then I'll put them in one of these ready-to-use containers, and when I have about some of them the equal length, equal size links, I will go ahead and use them together. So a round nose. Sorry, this is just the lights coming and going, so it's just a little bit difficult to see. Okay, this one didn't turn out so good. Hang on, I'm gonna snip that off because I think that's a little bit too long for the size I'm choosing. It would work better with my bail maker pliers. So I would probably use this one for a clasp somewhere, or like I said, a link. When you use these infinity links together, like if you're making a chain with an infinity link, you get kind of like a rope effect. So it's like one's going this way, one's going the other way. It's kind of like a twisted chain that you'll get with this. As opposed to with this one, you would have more of a chain, like a paperclip chain that goes in one direction. It won't be like a twisted one unless you twisted the wires to make it so. Okay, so these are just these two different links that you have. This will give it a more of a twisty kind of look, and this one will be more of a flat look. To connect the infinity links, I have mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. Make sure you don't open up the wire completely. Like, for example, don't do this. So when you're in the link, don't go in and open it out. You're just going to mangle the shape of it. So when you're in here and you want to open that link, you open it like you would a jump ring. You open it up and away, like to the side, and then you would connect it to another infinity link like this. And then to close it, you'd go in here and go past where it should join and then come back in slightly closer and squish it down like so. Okay, and here I wanted to show you how it looks like. So if you were going to mix and match the metals, and you had one twisted and one plain going, then another twisted, another plain, it just gives it a really nice effect. Like every so often, every couple of links, it'll catch the light, just like that. Now this is bare copper and this is antique copper, but this is just as a demonstration to show you what it'll look like. Okay, so those are your infinity links. Third is this really pretty spiral link. It's a double spiral, and I'll show you how to do this one. It's cute, it's pretty. Even if you had just one single link, you could attach a bead or some kind of a drop to one side and a ear wire to the other, and you have earrings. It could be the end of a chain, like, and if you wanted just a dangle at the end, it's quite pretty to have that too. Again, right now I happen to have square wire on hand. I do have some of the other wires, but I can't seem to get my hands on. Here's some. Now this is a 20 gauge pair of wire. Like all of these, because I'm using different gauges, I'm not worried about, like I haven't been telling you exactly which gauge, because it'll work with pretty much 20 gauge. It'll work with 18 gauge. 18 gauge will just make it a little bit thicker, a little heavier. You want to have the links a little bigger so that with the 18 gauge you have the maneuverability to twist it. 20 gauge goes really well with these kind of links, smaller links, finer. Now this one happens to be a 20 gauge, and I'm just going to double check what the one I have here, I believe, is an 18 gauge. This was made from some of them were made from 18 gauge scraps, and I measured all the wires and just made a few more. Okay, so let's do this with a 20 gauge to show you what it's like. So come in with the wire like about in the center. For this one, you do need, the finer the pliers, the better it is. So this is my round nose pliers. In the center, you're holding it nice and firm. One side of the wire is going down, the other side is going up. And you just chase that around until you have this sort of a Z shape going. Okay? Come back in with your pliers, nice and tight, and continue chasing one wire around the other. So you keep going like this. When you have about a full loop, you can switch to either your chain nose pliers, your bent nose pliers, whatever you're comfortable with, or even your nylon jaws. And then one at a time, each side of the link, you're going to twist that, lift it, turn, just like we do the spirals. Lift it. Now you're at this one, so let's chase this one around. Wants to go all over on me. Gonna use my nylon jaws. So right there, hold it at the tip and swirl that wire around. Let's do one wire at a time. So hold it nice and tight just where it starts to round out, because if you're holding it too far away, then you'll have more of a gap. And then just like that until you get to the other side. Now that wire's in the lead, so let's finish that side of the link. Just go like that. Keep going around. And again with this one, if you did one twisted and one simple round wire, so the twisted one is with the square wires and the round one is with obviously the round wires, the plain ones. So I'm going to twist that one around now. Until you have the link at the size that you want it to be. I'm thinking that's nice, good enough, maybe another rounds. And I want it to end this way, like with the S showing this way. The other way is just like kind of a fatter oval. You can also at this point even use your fingers if you wanted to, because it should you have enough of a room to hold that. I think that's good enough for this particular link. We're going to use our chain nose pliers, and the center of this here, we're going to bend it up and bring this down. Again at the center over here, we're going to bend this the other way. So you have something like this. Okay, this one is bent a little bit too far out. I'm gonna just straighten that right there. So you have this link like this. Now the key to getting this to move smooth is one of these loops is going to go east-west, the other one is going to go north-south, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Sort of like the mother and child one that we did. I only need about 1/4 of an inch, so I'm going to snip that out. So about that much here too. So what I was trying to tell you is, so this link is going to go in the direction like this. So that's your north south, and you can go in here and do the break the neck. So what you do is you go in through the loop, and then you come up away from the side that opens. I'm going to leave that open a little bit because I'm going to use that to attach to the other one. So this is going north south. Now this one you won't go like this, you'll go around like this. So you're going to go just so, just like this, and then you're going to turn it in this direction. Okay, so you have the spiral going like this and this link going this way. This is a different one, but what I wanted to show you how you would link it together. So what you would do with this one is that's the back, that's the front. So this link will attach to this one using the north-south one. So this is going to go in here like this. Each time you're doing this, make sure the links are which way they're facing. If that's the open side on the back, then this one should be the open side on the back. And you would go in here and just to the side, the other side, center, and close. So you close that link. This one, like you can see, is different from the other ones. This is an 18 gauge, and I only went around it a couple of times to give it about this same one. This is a larger one, but this is just to show you how it can attach to this one. Okay, so that's the way this link would be, and then you would just continue to go on. So if you're doing them at the same time, do at least 2 at a time, so you have 2 of the same ones. If you want to use them in earrings, then you would just, what you would do with this is just put a ear wire on one side and maybe a spiral or a bead on the other, even something with a head pin. So you would have a ear wire going through there and a little dangle or a head pin going through it. Let me see if I have one dangle ready over here. It's a vintage bronze one, but you can see what I mean when I put that on. So again, this dangle is all ready. Just open it by going to the side. It's open. You would put that through this link over here, the one that's facing forward. Flip it around, come through here, and close that, back, center. You could do this with mixed metals too, just like this. Turned out quite nice. And then you can have an ear wire on the top over there. So see, that'd make a really nice, pretty earring. Okay, so those are the 3 links for today. I'm going to show them to you again. We've done the horseshoe or the paperclip style. We've done the infinity link. Oops. So the infinity link. And we've done this really pretty double spiral. Okay. I did get asked by somebody if you could save your scraps that are, this is barely a half an inch. Yes, if you have really small beads, you can do this probably with either a 20 gauge or a 22 gauge even. You could hammer one end, make it nice and flat. I don't have my steel bench block here right now, but I'll do that in the other video. It's not to say you keep hoarding the tiniest pieces, but just where if you wanted to create a fringe or a little drop, you could use about a half a inch. Could be probably one of the smallest scraps you can use with wire bending. And this is it for today's video. I'm glad it didn't cut out for me in the middle of it, and I'm hoping this helped you. I will come back next Tuesday with another scrap Scrap-tacular video, and we'll be dealing with some clasps and probably a few other things that we can do. Let me look up a few more links that are really fancy, and we'll go with that. Thank you, and if you have any feedback or anything else you would like to see, drop a comment, consider subscribing, and hope you have a lot of fun with your scraps. Take care. Happy Tuesday. Bye for now.